First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, let me just apologize for the absolute onslaught of the Internet Computer ICP content, but there's a reason for it. This is a blockchain project that truly has me excited because can you imagine how valuable the company or the protocol, if it was able to be monetized, i.e. had a token, would be that essentially enables the internet? We kind of don't even need to be able to imagine that because we know that the largest companies in the world, Apple, Microsoft, and Google, are all internet-enabling companies. The internet is arguably one of the most important pieces of technology the world has ever seen, if not the most important. And of course, you could argue about medicines and things like this and other such things. But in regards to human consciousness, in regards to influence, today there's nothing more powerful than the internet. And what would the value, like I say, of that protocol, if it was able to be monetized, be? Now, we have companies that enable the internet, like the ones we've just mentioned, but the internet computer is, and we're going to dive over to a tweet from Dominic Williams, and then we're going to be going back 4 years and looking to a Bloomberg interview that he gave where he spoke about this concept and what ICP is trying to do. You know, the internet computer truly is a special blockchain because it's trying to be the next internet. And the value of that, if successful, and I think there's a number of reasons why it might be successful, like there's no hacks that can take place upon it. That sounds strange. But we see consistently in the Web 2 world, hacks and leaks take place. And often, they're very costly or very, very privacy intrusive. We see data consistently sold. These are things that the internet computer can essentially eradicate. And of course, when we dive over to the clip of Bloomberg, he talks about censorship and the kind of allowance, or what would the right word be here? You know, censorship, I think, is the right word in regards to the Web 2 space, because a lot of these companies that you choose to build upon, if they don't want you building upon them, they won't let you. And it could be for any number of reasons. Whereas in a decentralized web, that doesn't happen. So the internet computer might become a obvious choice. It's certainly a cryptocurrency that we're very excited about. You know, many layer one smart contracts out there, or smart contract platforms out there, have essentially gone after the kind of financial use case, whereas the internet computer has really gone for another use case, and that is actually being the protocol that people build upon. And we've seen AI in a very kind of primitive stage, and now a slightly more advanced one, already be enabled solely from the bottom up on ICP. So again, apologies for the onslaught of content. What I want to do, we'll talk about ICP's price in just a second because it's doing very well as we were expecting. We were looking for a retest after we broke out of our kind of base, our accumulation phase. We've had that retest. We're now, I believe, off to the races. But we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Also bring up some examples that we looked at yesterday. So Dominic Williams, who is one of the founders of Dfinity, the Internet Computer ICP is reinventing blockchain. It enables full stack decentralization. It enables Web3 without big tech dependence. It enables privacy, it enables on-chain AI, and it gives communities a real control of the deeper mission, reinventing all compute on-chain. Now, this is a mammoth task. Like I say, the largest companies of today do what ICP is trying to do. So you can imagine, if successful, there's a big if, it's still in a very sort of early stage. It's kind of like looking back at Amazon or perhaps more Microsoft and Google back in the sort of early 2000s. You know, no one, I think, quite predicted, I don't say no one, that they were going to become the companies that they are today. We're kind of speculating on ICP in a similar manner. But is it the evolution of these companies? Well, potentially. And there's, like I said, there's a number of reasons why you may want to actually use ICP in opposition with some of the other protocols that we have out there. What I want to do now, guys, is go all the way back to a clip that was shared on Twitter of Dominic Williams giving an interview 4 years ago on Bloomberg in regards to what ICP is trying to do. Let's go ahead and dive over to that.
Proprietary closed infrastructure of a private company.
Gotcha.
You mentioned sort of taking on big tech. How do you plan to do that? Is it through cloud? And we know Amazon Web Services has a cloud product. Microsoft's Azure has a cloud product. How specifically do you sort of plan to tackle taking on big tech?
So the internet computer makes it possible to to build internet services in a different way. They're called open internet services, and they're built using something called autonomous software. So nobody owns an open internet service, but it's updated by an open governance system. And they have an advantage, or will have an advantage, because they can provide guarantees both to users and also to entrepreneurs that want to build on top of them. So today, there's something called platform risk stalking the world of tech. So an early example of this would have been, for example, Zynga. Zynga's a social games company. It was very successful. It built on top of Facebook. It IPO'd. Its valuation was north of $10 billion. And then Facebook changed the rules. The APIs that it had built on top of changed from underneath it. And a few months later, Zynga had lost 85% of its value. More recently, for example, LinkedIn, which is the business directory, provided APIs that hundreds of startups used to incorporate business profiles into their own services. And then LinkedIn revoked those APIs, and of course you can imagine what happened to those startups that depended upon the business profiles. The only people that kept their API access were other big tech players like Salesforce and Microsoft. So for these reasons, if you build on big tech today, you're really building on sand. And if you go to a VC and say, look, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got this idea to create a new service, but I need to build on top of big tech, you'll likely get laughed out of the room. And even, the successful recent tech IPOs, I think it's 17 or 18 of the last 22, mention platform risk as being an existential risk in their S1 filings.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the reason why we're sort of dumping ICP content at the moment, because I don't think people quite realize what these guys are trying to do and just how interesting it is. They are literally trying to reimagine the internet by using distributed ledgers, which will make the software or the services that run upon the internet immutable, censorship resistant, arguably cheaper in many cases, and a basket of other things. It really is, the internet computer is the right name for this project. It's really trying to enable the internet via computers, via this kind of decentralized network of computers. It truly is, to me, amazing. We've always said this. We've always battled with the Bitcoin maxis, and we've said, look, the only use for a distributed ledger isn't Bitcoin. The application of distributed ledgers is far and wide, and this is a great one, in my opinion. Again, back to the point I made at the start of the video. Look at the largest companies in the world. They're all internet companies. How valuable would the protocol be that enables the internet? Pretty valuable, right? And what happens if there was clear reasons to use this kind of new version of the internet? And it's not a choice. You can actually still have both worlds, but choose to leverage these services. You don't have to choose between one or the other particularly. You can intertwine, but you can have the immutability and all these things that the ICP is offering. Very, very interesting, guys. What I want to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is dive over to some price action. So we were expecting a bounce in and around this support area that was previously resistance. This is now an uptrending chart, in my opinion, right? And when you initially break out of a kind of what we call a phase one, we've just released our market mastery course for the Patreons, or some of the Patreons that have been with me for long enough. When you break out that phase one, you break out of what Wyckoff called accumulation, or Dow Jones looked at as accumulation. When you break out of that, you typically get a retest. Charles Dow, sorry, not Dow Jones. You typically get a retest. And that's what we've seen. We showed you lots. I think we showed you about 9 examples yesterday. Spotify is a chart that's done spectacularly for us. This is on a 2 weekly time frame. Let's get them on the weekly time frames. Breakout, there's a pattern in here. Retest. This is one. Many of these stocks you guys would never have heard of, but we do watch a basket of stocks as well. Breakout, retest. We can show you a million examples of this. Coinbase was a stock we were buying in the $30, $40 range. Breakout, retest. Breakout, retest. This made both our targets, I believe, actually. So that's really all ICP is doing. I do believe a broader uptrend is now in play. The altcoin market we're exceptionally bullish on, and a project such as the internet computer I think is going to really shine within that market because they're doing something real. And that can often be quite hard to come by in the crypto space. We've got a lot of copycats, we've got a lot of this, we've got a lot of that. But this is an exciting project. It's not my largest position. I'm very transparent on that. I don't need to reveal my positions, but I do own, to be totally transparent, ICP. It is a position of mine, not my largest, but one of my largest. because I think it's going to do very well. We got a potential $200 price prediction for ICP. Does that mean it's going to happen? Don't buy ICP, by the way, guys. I don't care whether you buy it or you don't. We don't benefit any way, shape, or form if people buy the internet computer. We just happen to think there's technical merit, or there's perhaps a technical roadmap that could take us there. Certainly, we've got to show that strength. We've got to see this really act as a retest and that further continuation take place. But I think that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. We just want to do a short and sweet video because I found Dominic Williams' tweet this morning interesting. And it really does make me kind of think that, you know, this is a blockchain that actually could disrupt the way things are in the kind of Web 2 world as we know it. And there's clear benefits to why, you know, the world may choose to go down the ICP route in terms of building services upon it. So that's it from me, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this content as much as I enjoyed presenting it. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one.